Okay then. Before I begin, I just want to ask a few questions. Mostly for my benefit, really, just to check that I'm in the right place. Raise your hand if you've been on NCS Wave 1 by show of hands. Thank you. Now also raise your hand if you're having a great time tonight. And say aye. I said say aye. Thank you. So in this short time that we have together, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to share a few words. Nothing much, just a few words. But more importantly, I'm not really going to share words with you. My aim in the couple of minutes that we have together is I want to extract some information from you. Because there's something that you all do, or in fact, the successful ones of you, there's something that you all have been doing throughout your whole lives. But my thing is that you might not be consciously aware of it. And if you can become consciously aware of this information that I'm going to share with you, it will absolutely change your futures. And on the flip side, so those of you who are not aware of this information I'm about to share with you, you may want to really pay attention. Because it's this information that might change the situation for your future. And it was all based around this premise. Is my phone going on? It actually is, you know, for 1 second. And it's all based around this premise. You are where you are today because of the decisions that you made yesterday. I'm going to say that again in case you missed it. You are where you are today because of the decisions that you made yesterday. For those of you who don't understand what I mean by that, allow me to explain. You are all here today at this NCS graduation because you made a decision back in springtime to come here. Or you might have not made that decision yourself, perhaps it was your parents who made that decision for you. And then upon completing your wave 1, you made then another decision to be here today at this graduation. Let me give you another analogy, but in terms of myself. So I am here today because I made a decision too. Earlier today, if you were with me, you would have been at the Wirral Coastal Walk doing an 11-mile charity walk. It was far, you know, I was expecting the violins or something, you know, my feet are still wet, like it was absolutely pouring. But it wasn't that bad actually, because during the 11 miles, I was just catching Pokemon the whole way. Anyone play Pokemon? Show of hands, who plays Pokemon? Don't be embarrassed, you know, I'm 24, I play Pokemon, I'm not embarrassed to say it. I've been playing Pokemon. But like I said, based on that premise, then, if we do understand the concept of we are where we are today because of the decisions that we made yesterday, then it's also fair to say then that we will be where we want to be in the future based on those decisions that we make right now. Raise your hand if that makes sense. We will be where we want to be in the future based on those decisions that we make right now. Who's heard of a guy called Warren Buffett, by a show of hands? If you heard of Warren Buffett. For those of you who don't know, Warren Buffett, he's literally one of the richest men on the planet. Multi-billionaire. Guys at the back, I'm going to need you to be quiet, please. Thank you. Warren Buffett, multi-billionaire. Folklore says that he spends 6 to 8 hours a day reading. Just think about that for a second. He spends 6 to 8 hours a day reading. I don't even sleep that long at night. But he does that reading. One of his friends said, "Yo, Warren," in fact, he probably didn't say yo, I'm from South London, so I'll say yo. He probably said, "Yo, Warren, why do you read for 6 to 8 hours a night?" And then Warren Buffett replied, "The reason why I read for 6 to 8 hours every single night is because when I'm ready to make a decision, I'll be so well informed that it will probably be the right one." Now this is where the sweet part comes into it. You're all here today, roughly 16, maybe some of you are 17 years old. And I'm guessing, if you were anything like me when I was 16, then you get a lot of pressure on you to make those decisions. Whether it's you must go to sixth form, whether you've got to go to college, you've got to go and finish work, you've got to do an apprentice, you've got to start a business if you do what I do. Raise your hand if you know what I'm talking about. If you ever had to make those decisions, if you had a pressure, whether it's from your parents, whether it's from your school teachers, whether it's from your peers, we all tend to have this pressure put onto us. And although in one respect that pressure is a good thing, because at the end of the day, pressure makes diamonds, sometimes this pressure can actually be bad for us. You know, who's ever been told, raise your hand if you've ever been asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? By show of hands. Who's ever been asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? I like even some of the parents are raising their hands for that question. And again, and if you're anything like me, when I was 16 years old, that was one of the worst questions that you can probably ask me. But here's what I think about when parents and seniors ask us about what do you want to be when we grow up. I believe the only reason why our parents, teachers, etc. ask us what we want to be when they grow up is because they're looking for ideas. They're looking for ideas. And why I say that is because every single one of you seated here has done amazing things for you to be here right now. And although I'm not telling you that you have to read 6 to 8 hours a night, I'm not telling you you have to do that. But the fact that you've been on this 4-week program by the NTS suggests to me that you have what it takes to be whatever you want to be in the future. Week 1, what did you do? You went away to residential, doing all types of outdoor activities. Some of you pushed your boundaries, some of you stepped up to go up to the high roads. Week 2, what did you do? Week 2 was at the university, learning all of those different kind of skills. And you remember, probably, if you do remember, I kicked off at you. Who remembers that? Who remembers me kicking off? Okay, so don't talk over me today. Week 3, what did you do? You did your social action planning. There are skills there that you need to be aware of that you can transfer into the future. And finally, what you did in week 4, you delivered it. So based on those situations on your last 4 weeks, what I need you to do is to be aware of that the skills and abilities that you learned from there, you need to ask yourself the question, how can you transfer those skills from those 4 weeks to implement your future? Because at the end of the day, there's something, I love a quote called success leaves clues. Now, a lot of you don't know me outside of NCS, so is it okay if I spend a few minutes just sharing with you exactly who I am and why I'm standing here in front of you? By show of hands, is that okay? Can I get a yes? Is that okay? Yes or no? Yes. Thank you. This is where the slides come in if they want to cooperate with me. Okay, so pause that. Oops. Bear me 1 second, sorry. Okay, no problem. Let's not do that. So outside of NCS, I'll just give you a quick background about me so you can think, why am I standing here in front of you today? Like I said to you, my name is Kylie Damali. I'm my mum and dad's son. I'm originally from a place in South London called Catford. Now I live in Crewe, right here, in South Cheshire. I went to university, did my degree in psychology, graduated with a high first-class honours degree, getting published in the process. So by trade, you can argue that I'm a psychologist, a published psychologist. I then became elected vice president of my students' union and governor of my university, which is an absolute huge deal for me because MMU, just down the road there, is one of the biggest universities in the whole country. Population of roughly 37,000 students. But that was just locally. On a national scale, I then became an elected director of the NUS, being the National Union of Students. And over the past couple of years, I've done a lot of traveling. I've been to America, taking selfies with crocodiles in Florida. I went down to Australia, jumped out of planes there, did some, skydiving. You know, with skydiving, you can actually skydive without a parachute. But only once. And so over the last years, I now work for myself. So I do speaking, as you can see me doing right now, whether that's on BBC, whether that's on radio, whether that's live in front of an audience, or more recently on a famous Channel 4 program, which some of you know about, which I can't disclose. But those of you who know what I'm talking about, you know what I mean. And it's one thing I've always understood for me to get the successes where I have today in life. And it all goes back to the concept of decisions. Because whether you like it or not, every single day you have to make a decision. Because the act of not making a decision is still a decision. Indecision is still a decision. If you've ever been driving, in fact, you're too young to drive, so if you do drive, you might not want to disclose it now. But if you do drive and you come to a crossroad, you make a decision to either go straight, left, or right. And if you don't make that decision, you're just going to carry on going straight. Indecision is still a decision. So I've realized that every single day we have to make decisions for what we know what will impact our futures. And what I understand the difference between successful and unsuccessful people is this. Unsuccessful people worry about making the right decision. Whereas successful people make the decision and then make it right. I'll say that again in case you missed it. Unsuccessful people worry about making the right decision, whereas successful people make the decision and then make it right. You don't need to worry about, I know you have to make decisions after you when you leave here, whether it's school, college, etc. You don't need to worry about whether you do make the right decision or not. Just make the decision and then make it right. So as I close, I want you all to have a great time tonight when the music comes on. You know, you can party, just like, flick a leg, just, if you want to, enjoy yourself. But when you wake up tomorrow morning, just remember what I told you about making a decision. You are where you are today because of the decisions that you made yesterday. So if you want to get to where you want to be in the future, that's all based on the decisions that you make right now. Thank you very much.